How's it going, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the FFT review series, what I schizophrenically upload. Sorry about being so late on some of these videos. I've just been so caught up with schoolwork and everything. It's really fucking me in the ass. I won't lie. I still have to post my accountant review that I did with Keegan, and if you're wondering what happened to the live stream that I posted today, I realized that it sucked. Like, the audio for it was so terrible. I realized it was going to record the gameplay footage, and unfortunately there's no way to really fix that, so I'm probably just going to end up deleting it. It's private now, so you guys can't watch it. I'm not okay with it, and Keegan and I are probably going to have to redo that. So it sucks, but I'm sorry. It's just how it goes.
Always go for perfection.
Anyways, speaking of perfection, I'll be damned if this movie isn't up to my utmost standards of perfection in the cinematic level.
Exactly. This is Marvel we're talking about.
Yeah. Everyone's going to give DC such a hard time for their movies. Let's see how Marvel does it, Their Suicide Squad, and I do want to talk a little bit about X-Men Apocalypse. I know there's no segue into that at all. I got it on Blu-ray.
X-Men Apocalypse? Oh, okay.
Fuck. In my original review that I did for it, there were a lot of things that I said were great, and then there were things that I thought were just mediocre. Now that time has passed, everything that I thought was great just became average, and everything that I thought was like average just became plain bad. And I'm not saying it's the worst X-Men movie I've ever seen, but as a sequel to Days of Future Past and with Bryan Singer's name on it, and my favorite X-Men villain from the fucking animated series of all time, it was just really disappointing in my opinion, and I think it deserved better.
It was kind of a disappointment, even though the last time I saw it was for the review with you, or I don't know how I would feel if I saw it like recently or right now.
So after Doctor Strange, I'll be able to start my list of the best and worst superhero movies of 2016. Look forward to that. Talking about some Doctor Strange real quick before we see it. This is the only movie, like superhero movie, that I have purposely stayed away from. Trailers, pictures being released, I wanted to go into this completely blind.
Right.
I saw the teaser for it, and that was enough to get me excited, because for the first time, I'm about to see a movie about a character I pretty much don't know anything about. Like, of Stephen Strange, yeah, I'm familiar with him. I'm familiar with, his origins, his use of mysticism as the psychedelic mystic. I would hope so. His sacred geometry, the nexus of all realities. I know a lot of that stuff. I've never taken the time, though, to really read some of his own stories.
Neither have I. Like, just with you, I don't know anything about this movie or really much about this character. I know, well, the main actor.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch,
not Cabbage Patch. Cumberbatch.
Cabbage.
Cabbage Patch.
Gross. But, when he was first cast, I thought to myself, yeah, that's perfect. Like, I think that might not be just on the level of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but it works just as well. There's no one else you could have gotten to play Doctor Strange.
Well, I'm going to start thinking about this.
I mean, the dude was fucking Sherlock. If you've seen him in everything he's ever done, he's literally Stephen Strange in real life.
David Morrissey.
Shut your fucking mouth, Tarek. We'll be right back after I slap Tarek in the fucking face. Welcome back, Tarek.
Thanks. It's great to be back, even though I don't think I was gone.
Oh, but we're always in a different place at once, That's something really cool to think about, Just when you get home, try and imagine this. You take a book and you have a single page, right? And it's pointed in a single direction, up, down, and then all that direction, that we as a human being can see in this way. Now try and imagine that same page in a different direction that you can't see. Then you have this movie.
Whoa, man.
before we review this thing, there is one thing I have to get off my chest, and it absolutely pissed me the fuck off about this movie. Where the hell is Galactus? You know, Galactus, I want to see Galactus in the MC fucking universe so bad.
Well, maybe that thing at the end was couldn't call it Galactus.
You know, fuck Fox, you know, give Fantastic Four back to Marvel. Fuck Fox.
What did they even call it? Like, did they call it anything? Or?
I don't know. I think it was like the Chitauri something. There's this character in the movie, and I'm really jumping ahead of myself. I know I would forget about it if I didn't talk about it immediately. They refer to him as the Devourer of Worlds, and I'm like, oh shit, are we getting Galactus? But it's some other name. I've never heard of this character before. You know, and I don't know if it's a Doctor Strange, you know, iconic character that they presented. But, you know, he was this, you know, not an entity, but like just this giant, you know, cosmic force. You know, this villain living in this dark dimension. And, you know, he's, you know, after Earth. And, you know, he wants to devour it and add it to his dark dimension, you know, empire. And I'm like, that's Galactus. Why aren't they calling it Galactus?
Fox, you know, hey, that's ours. You stay the hell away from that.
Fuck Fox! You know, I don't know if it's supposed to be Galactus or not, or like, they just can't use the name because of intellectual property rights, but fuck that. I want to see Galactus in the MCU. I know Marvel would do a fucking great job, and speaking of Marvel, nice new, you know, intro logo. You know?
Oh yeah, that intro logo was pretty nice.
You know, we're getting to the era of Marvel movies where it's no longer Marvel, it's Marvel Studios. So anyways, let's talk about some Doctor Strange, Tarek.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this movie is pretty crazy.
Dude, this movie, your enjoyment of this movie kind of entirely depends on if you can watch a movie, you know, a superhero movie. I think if you're a fan of the MCU, definitely check it out. Even if you don't know anything about Doctor Strange, like really I did or Tarek. But if you can watch a movie for the visuals alone, you will absolutely eat this shit up. And sometimes for me, you know, that's all I need is some visual effects. You know, some really beautiful visual effects. And my God, does Doctor Strange blow everything this year away.
True, like just scenes where they were in the city and like all the buildings and all the everything was just moving around and twisting. It was kind of reminding me of some other movie. I can't think of the name. But
well, I heard a lot of people comparing this movie to Inception.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and it's not as good as people give it credit for, in my opinion. It's not as mind-blowing as, you know, everyone thinks it is. It does have pretty great visual effects, and I kind of see that, you know, whereas Doctor Strange does it far better, I think, in a more psychedelic sense. Let's talk about that for a second. As the psychedelic mystic, let me give a little context as to why I particularly loved the visuals, probably more than most people. Sophomore year in high school, my brother and I, you know, we were making not good choices, I would, you know, admitted. And I'm not doing them now, so it's not illegal for me to talk about, but, you know, I've done my share of LSD, I've done shrooms, I've done a bunch of psychedelics. You know, hell, I even tried peyote.
Have you tried it in tea?
What?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Alright, I don't know what that was about. But finally, my brother introduces me to DMT. And when Doctor Strange first gets to the temple after fucking up his hands, he's trying to figure out how he can fix himself. He comes, you know, it's not a, I don't know if it's a monastery or anything. He's presented to the Ancient One, and he doesn't understand what she's talking about, how she can fix his spirit. Because as a brain, or as a neurological surgeon, he doesn't get that. You know, he's a doctor, it's all science, and she sees possibility, and she pushes him outside of his body, and he's looking at himself in his own body, and then he goes on an insane trip, and he's freaking out, traveling through all the cosmos and all of the realities, and I was right with him my first time. scared shitless, but I met these amazing, entities, these cosmic beings, and I learned so much about how I thought the world works, and that has really enhanced my spirituality, and the way I see the world, and I love that element of this movie, and I think that's, in my opinion, what elevates it for me above all other MCU movies, because I relate to this movie more than I think anyone in that theater.
From taking the LSD and the... I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine this movie is very fun high. Seeing, the architecture, shift and, all these shapes, transform, I feel like would be a complete mindfuck to anyone stoned, at least. But, like, not only are they, what I would say trippy, as if I were an edgy teen.
I'm tripping out, yeah.
The visual effects in this movie are a cut above anything we have seen in the MCU so far. And in my opinion, this is the best looking Marvel movie. And in my stronger opinion, a bolder opinion, I think this is one of the, if not the best looking movies I've seen this year.
Let's compare it to some other movies we've seen. Nah, let's not.
Because I think the best looking movies I've seen this year were Batman vs. Superman, which, as Zack Snyder, he's a visual director, and I love great visuals in a movie. But admittedly, there are some effects that I think could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jungle Book, which was just phenomenal to see.
That was pretty good.
The world was so lush, and everything looked almost photorealistic. The CGI was phenomenal in that. Warcraft, I praised the shit out of the visual effects in Warcraft. The way the orcs looked, especially Durotan, with all the little detail put into his orc skin. Oh, phenomenal job. And then, not including animated movies, I think this is really the only other one that I can say is just a visually stunning movie.
It really is. I mean, like, I think I don't know if you mentioned this before, you probably did, but going in this movie, seeing it just for the visuals alone is worth it.
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with that statement. I will talk more about that in a second, but if you're someone who can really just watch a movie and digest everything given to you, I'm not talking about the plot, I'm just saying, if you can go see a movie for visuals alone, Doctor Strange is easily your movie. I don't know if it could cause headaches. I think Tarek was talking about, it was kind of bothering him. I'm sort of used to, like, seeing stuff that messes with your mind, illusion and everything like that, just because of what I've done drug-wise. It didn't bother me, but I don't know if it'll be, as family-friendly as the movie really tries to make it. I don't know if it'll be nauseous for some people. I think my dad would probably get sick because, he gets really bad motion sickness on roller coasters.
Oh, he does?
Mm-hmm. Oh. But as far as this movie being family-friendly, it is both the best and worst part of it. It is best because it really does add a layer of entertainment to this movie that otherwise I'd find a bit dull if it didn't have. And I think it's the worst part because not a lot of the jokes really land that much. There were quite a few that made me cringe.
Yeah, I get that this is a Marvel, cinematic movie, and they want to keep it lighthearted, keep it fun and goofy like the other movies, but some of the jokes were some were funny.
Yeah, there were some that were actually pretty unexpectedly funny. Like, I figured there were going to be attempts at humor, but I didn't expect really anything to actually make me laugh out loud. And this movie did. And I was surprised when it actually worked.
Right.
Whereas when it didn't,
it was just
it really felt like it was stretching, for humor. And, I won't harp on that too much. They want Disney to keep paying them big bucks to keep making these movies so Kevin Feige can have a job.
Is he the president of Marvel?
He's the executive producer of, like, almost every film. I think every film in the MCU. Let's start off with what I loved about this movie, besides the visuals. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Oh my god, he fucking killed it. You know, he totally nailed who Stephen Strange should be. You know, and when you see him as a brain surgeon or a neurological surgeon, I mean, it was like watching an episode of House. You know?
I've never watched that show, but
You know, and House himself could have been Doctor Strange. You know, he's just that character. But Benedict Cumberbatch did a spectacular job in that role, and I couldn't imagine anyone else giving as good of a performance as he did.
yeah. Despite what I said in the pre-review.
We're done talking about that.
So is he's supposed to be kind of like an arrogant, cocky guy like he was in the...
And when I found out that a Doctor Strange movie was being like made, that made me wonder if Tony Stark was going to end up dying in Civil War, which I stand by my opinion that I wish he would have died in Civil War. You know,
Someone should have died.
I think that would have really added like levity to Civil War and reinforced that events matter, whereas a lot of people are complaining that, oh, you know, there's still, you know, a team, so nothing really mattered. I disagree with that. I think that it will have lasting impacts, but not in the way that I would have wanted them to. Having Tony Stark die at the end of Civil War, and I talked about this in my live stream with Keegan that you won't ever get to fucking see because fucking bullshit PS4 live streaming bullshit.
Just gotta do it all over again, and I don't know, maybe...
So I think the way that they're going, Hubert Cumberbatch will probably be replacing, you know, that sort of figure in the Avengers for Robert Downey Jr. Because, I mean, he's ridiculously paid, you know?
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr., didn't he?
He was the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I don't think he is anymore. I think it is... who is it? I just saw this the other day.
I don't know who the highest paid actor is, but I do know Daniel Craig got paid like almost $140 million to play like another James Bond movie. Which is crazy, man.
I don't know. I had a big argument with my dad about it. It's not important. But Benedict Cumberbatch pretty much carried this movie. And he did a spectacular job in making sure I wasn't bored. You know, none of the characters gave a bad performance, but he really is easily the standout, in my opinion. And he's who we spend the most time with.
Yeah, and he pretty much should be, since he is the main character, so...
My second favorite character in the movie, the Ancient One. And I know there was a big controversy around her being white, I guess. You know, I had no idea who her character was supposed to be, so it didn't bother me in the slightest. However, they were in Hong Kong, so maybe she was supposed to be an Asian actress. I don't know. I don't care. I judge the performance based on how they are. That's how I'm going to judge Zendaya. That's how I judged Black Human Torch. And that's how I judged this woman. And she did spectacular, too. She was badass.
She was. And
You know, seeing her fight was... It blew my mind. I couldn't expect that, you know, kind of tiny-looking woman to just kick some ass in a psychedelic way. I didn't understand that, like... I couldn't tell. You know, she was, like, doing, you know, like
some Last Airbender shit. But
yeah, but like while like, you know, buildings and architecture is, you know, inverting itself, and it was just so fucking cool. Oh my god. And another thing I really appreciated with this movie, they actually gave some chemistry to the love interest. You know?
Well, yeah, love interest.
You know, Stephen Strange has an ex-girlfriend, and it's really nice to see that they actually have some goddamn, like, chemistry together. Even if they're not, like, all smoochy together, like Thor and Natalie fucking Portman. She's not a throwaway, you know, love interest, you know? I don't think since Pepper Potts has there actually been a decent, you know, female love interest in the MCU. And her contract is expired, so fuck seeing her, I guess.
Yeah, like Gwyneth Paltrow and Natalie Portman, I don't think are coming back in the MC universe or something because of the actresses.
Maybe, and I won't really miss them.
Yeah, like they weren't important, honestly. So.
But it's really nice to see an actual character in this movie. You know, because I call her a love interest because you can tell that Stephen Strange cares about her, but she's not his motivation for what he does, you know?
Mm-mm.
Like, I think Peggy Carter was really what made Captain America do what he did. You know, he loved his country, whatever, but he wanted some pussy. You know he did. And then he got frozen.
And he got frozen. He's still a virgin. I mean, he's like 80, and he looks like he's 30. So
Okay, I'm actually really uncomfortable talking about that. But no, it was great seeing some actual chemistry between these characters. You know, the chemistry was really great, and it added a layer to this movie that the MCU universe is really, really lacking.
what, the chemistry between
Yep.
two great characters?
Yeah. Now on to the things I not quite so liked. First off, fuck the villain. You know, he was as disposable as they come. I don't care, you know, what sort of source material he's from. He was probably one of the most forgettable Marvel villains I've seen in an MCU movie. And that really sucks because he had a pretty interesting plan. You know, going back to the whole dark dimension and everything. He wanted to... I guess there's like this source of immortality that comes with bringing, you know, your world into the dark dimension. And he wanted to live forever. And, you know, there was a whole, you know, conspiracy that, you know, the Ancient One might be evil. And the film explores that. And that was an interesting thing. More interesting than anything the villain did. You know, he was literally there so Benedict Cumberbatch could take shots at him, like, have little quips and one-liners.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it seems like Marvel just almost doesn't really care that much about making a great villain anymore.
Yeah. And at least it's not Malekith or whatever that Dark Elf's name was in the Dark World. Because, I mean, that one is literally the worst MCU villain I've ever seen.
He is. I know what you're talking about.
But I think he's almost as disposable. You know, why introduce this character? And they did the one thing that I absolutely hate with movie villains. They gave the context as to why he is the way he is through the heroes, you know, bantering. You know, Doctor Strange is, you know, training, and, you know, his mentor is, like, you know, talking to him while they're battling, you know, like Liam Hemsworth and Bruce Wayne or Christian Bale did.
Mhm.
And they're saying, like, you know, we had a student here once, and he was like you, but then he challenged authority or whatever. And, you know, that's just so lame. It's so lazy, you know, when you get a villain's, you know, motivations that way. And that's why I think Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. You know, whatever you think about his performance, I enjoyed it. I like how they handled his motivation. They gave subtle hints as to what he thought of Superman. You know, and that really made him an interesting villain in my opinion.
To each their own, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't. Anyway, we probably shouldn't talk about Batman vs Superman.
I mean, I've talked about it for too long on this channel. You know, I'll make a few more videos and I'm done. But yeah, the villain was disposable. His little crew was even worse.
Yeah,
they have the balls to kill one of them off and try to have that didn't come out at all right. They try to have ramifications for that, and you're looking at it like, yeah, the dude died, so what?
True. I don't even think he had a name.
He literally didn't. I don't think he did. But it bothered Stephen Strange, and he's like,
He's like,
you know, I will never kill again. I'm like, okay, it's not like General Zod. You know, you're not Superman. It didn't matter to you at all.
Well, he's like, I'm a neurosurgeon. I save lives. I don't take lives, man. So, I guess that's probably. I mean, that was pretty much the explanation they gave us to why. Yeah.
And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed in the story.
In the story?
Yeah. You know, everything that Doctor Strange did was really, really cool. The narrative of the movie, though, unfortunately is pretty formulaic. And that sucks to say because, you know, I think this is the most unique character we've ever been presented in the MCU next to, like, Vision. You know,
Sure.
but I doubt we'll get a Vision movie, so this is it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, He does stand out among the other superheroes, but what do you mean, like, problems with it? Well, I lost what I was gonna say.
Well, you see, just like Tony Stark in Iron Man 1, he's, on top of the world, he's bantering about himself, he loves himself, and then an unfortunate accident happens. And now he's in a predicament that he has to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar, like Doctor Strange. He's on top of the world, he loves himself, he's such a good brain surgeon, and then BAM! He has a car accident and he loses, his fingers and his hands are all fucked up. It's like, now I'll never be able to finger my ex-girlfriend.
Not properly, anyway.
But, I'm glad that it felt more like Batman Begins, though, than it did Iron Man. But still, when a character like this, has a formula, it really doesn't help, distinguish it and make it as unique as you would want it to be. And it also adds to the problem of oversaturation of superhero movies, as I've talked about multiple times. We're reaching a point where superhero movies, are copying off of themselves. And I applaud DC for, actually trying to make an original story. And Marvel knows that, yeah, we have a working formula. But I think they don't realize that if they fuck it to death, no one's just gonna bother seeing them. Or maybe they will, and I'll just sound like an arrogant asshole like Doctor Strange.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know. People gotta get tired of it at least some point, don't you think? If they keep doing it.
I'm starting to get there, but I'm nowhere near as sick of superhero movies as a lot of other people are. I mean, yeah, if they reach an oversaturation point, I mean, bring it on. I can still take it, but it'll help a lot if Marvel stops doing that and comes up with a new formula to overuse.
Like for example, the Spider-Man movie coming out. I hope they don't do his origin all over again.
Yeah, I don't see why they would. I really don't. We were introduced as a Spider-Man, post Uncle Ben death. He's already been Spider-Man for a few months. Just have it start there. We don't need to see that shit. Or, handle it like Zack Snyder did with Bruce Wayne's parents, because as much as we've seen it, you really can't introduce a new Batman without reiterating that. I mean, you just can't. It's part of his poetic misery.
Mm-hmm.
But he kept it very brief. It was right at the beginning. It was a few minutes, and it was visually gorgeous.
It was.
I mean, that's all we need.
Yeah.
So Marvel can actually learn from that. And I think this movie's probably going to do well at the box office. I'm pretty sure it's been getting great reviews from critics. There's like the optimist in me that really wanted to give this movie a 10 out of 10. And then there's the realist in me that definitely knows I can't. But then that realist in me also understands that the visual effects and the performances from the good guys more than make up for its negativities. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you rate this movie first, and I will see if I agree.
Well, just to reiterate, going over things I liked obviously Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. He did a great job. Same with the visuals, the action, even though it may have just been too fast for me, or trying to too many things going on and gives me a headache. I don't know. I think that's becoming a me problem, because after fucking movies like Blair Witch, you just can't.
I don't know.
Yeah. And one negative though, it's like when he teleports to Mount Everest. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then as he's struggling for a little bit, but then as soon as he goes through and it seems like he picked up and mastered the skills pretty quickly. Yeah,
I did notice that too. And that was part of the problem where I said we don't feel like there's years, spent as Doctor Strange, learning his ability. I mean, it shows him struggling at first, and then he has to get sent to the Himalayan mountains and then forced to come back, using these portals, which, if I can sidestep for a moment, I love the game Portal, and a lot of moments reminded me of that game. if you shoot a portal when you're falling down and you end up flying this way, it really fucks with your mind and it's really cool. Anyways, the Ancient One forces him to come back to the, you know, the temple, you know, the monastery, whatever it's called, on his own. You know, he's inexperienced, and, you know, she's making him do it so he can learn it. And when he does it, suddenly he's a master.
Yes, could have used a little bit more, I don't know, training montage if you want to call it, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
even put some Beyonce music over that. Who knows?
Oh yeah. What's up, Beyonce? Some of the jokes, some funny, some cringeworthy, but overall, I think I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10.
A 9 out of 10, really?
Really,
Wow.
I was very entertained by it.
Really?
Even though
I really want to meet him. I really want to meet him that way, but I can't. I'll meet him halfway. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's definitely better than X-Men Apocalypse and Suicide Squad, in my opinion. And hey, you know, when Suicide Squad comes out with its extended version that probably Zack Snyder himself has, you know, been working in his basement, you know, hoping it makes money so he can buy sardines. You know, who knows? It might be better. I don't think so.
No. I remember we praised the shit out of school. I mean, I don't want to say we praised the shit out of it, but we liked it a lot. And I actually went back and watched it. I was like, you know, this is...
Yeah, because I saw it again that same day, and it was really just... Yeah, I probably had like an excitement high for it, and I overlooked a lot of negativities about that. And I'm getting better at watching movies unbiasedly.
I'm not. Not at all.
Yeah, with your fucking Star Wars bullshit.
I didn't even review Star Wars. I mean, well, no. If you're talking about the Star Trek Beyond review, I gave that a good review.
You're beating J.J. Abrams' dick off every time you talk about the fucking Force Awakens.
No, I'm not.
Please be good.
Admit to yourself the Force Awakens was not as good as you thought it was.
No, never.
Dude, the new season of South Park is fucking incredible. I love it. Have you seen any of it?
I have not.
Oh my god, it's just geez. You have to go home and watch it. But anyways, with our consensus of 8.5 out of 10, you know, unfortunately, Tarek, you don't get a blowjob from God. You get a red box rental. But
I get a herpes box.
Jesus. I do recommend checking out this movie in theaters, though, and it's definitely one I'm getting on Blu-ray, just for the visuals alone. I mean, however, if you're looking for something with a little bit more story and in-depth about these characters, I don't think you're gonna get as much bang for your buck. But with that being said, I'm the Psychedelic Mystic, and that's my buddy Tarek. That was actually supposed to be a special guest, and unfortunately, he just didn't respond to me, so I never got to see him.
Give him a chance. I guarantee you he will respond to you tomorrow. You're like, Tarek, I am so sorry for the late response. We are going to go see Doctor Strange. You're going to be like, nah.
Yeah, I mean...
But you have to say yes, because this special guest is awesome. Like, he's never been on this show before. I call this a show. But, he just
You're like promising he'll be on the show. I don't even know if he like actually wanted to see me. You know, I think he just wasn't responding to me to like not be on the show.
But it is like, if he is on here, like it would be so cool of him to do that.
It would be.
And it seemed like he was really interested. And instead of the coolest guy in the world, you get me. Which in my opinion.
So with that being said, I want you guys to punch an annoying moviegoer in the face, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.